Hello, welcome to another video. Today we are selecting our reads for May. I have been using these prompts for the past few months to help prioritize my TBR in a way that feels really intentional. I thought I would share these prompts today and maybe it can help you consider how you're choosing what to pick out for your next reads. For context, I was a mood reader for a very long time and it worked for a while, but at the beginning of this year, I realized that my TBR was over 300 books long and it was just getting longer and longer. I realized I just needed to do something different. So in addition to tracking my want to read list on both Goodreads and Storygraph, I started my own TBR spreadsheet where I have my own tagging system. You can definitely do this on Goodreads or Storygraph or Fable even by creating shelves if you wanted to categorize your TBR as well. This system has been really super helpful in making me a little more considerate in what I'm adding to the TBR, as well as working through some of the books that have been lingering on my TBR for years. I was actually really inspired by Kylie Reads Indie on TikTok because I saw her make videos on what she calls her TBR mood boards, basically creating a curated list of potential books to read for the month based on the different moods that she often goes through. So I thought this was a really refreshing way to approach a TBR and really helped me think about TBRs in a whole new way. So I'm going to share the prompts first, then we can fill in the TBR together at the end. The first category I have is the challenge category. This is anything that I would consider reading to be a more well-read individual. Things like translated works, prize winners, or classics. These are on my challenge TBR. The second category I have is a book club. I have a casual in real life book club that I started through my old job and we've just kind of continued. It's pretty relaxed. We don't necessarily meet every month, but if you don't have a book club, I would recommend checking out your local library or your local independent bookstore and see if they happen to host any. Or you can check out Fable, which has a lot of fun online book club options as well. Or if you want just to grab a friend and do a buddy read, that is also a great way to get more social reading, because honestly, discussing books is probably half the fun of reading, in my opinion. The third prompt is the physical TBR, anything that you've maybe bought and haven't gotten around to, books that you were gifted, or books that you might be borrowing from a friend for an indeterminate amount of time. The fourth prompt is the IRL recommendations. So taking recommendations from people in your real life, whether that's friends, family, etc. I have found this to be a really fun way to get out of my comfort zone and read things that are just like wildly different than what I would pick up for myself, but also a great way to get to know the taste of the people in my life and hopefully give them better recommendations going forward. Our fifth category is topics of interest. That could be anything that you just want to learn more about through fiction or nonfiction. For me, that currently includes topics like philosophy, psychology, history, and health. Our sixth prompt is series in progress. If you are anything like me, you might love to start a new series and maybe not so great about actually finishing them. I am currently working on finishing out the many series that I have started over the past few years. I am currently in the middle of about 21 series. But we started the year at 25, so we're chipping away. The last three prompts I have are just kind of a catch-all for my favorite genres. So we have romance, which is something that I like to keep in the mix pretty frequently. I find it to be usually a good palate cleanser. Honestly, it's kind of like pizza. Like even when it's bad, it's still a good time. Fantasy standalone, which is still my favorite genre, but I'm trying not to start any more 15 book series right now. So we have that category in there to appease my appetite for new fantasy worlds. And the last one I have is literary horror, which is not something that I always am necessarily in the mood for, but I want to have something on my TBR for when that mood does strike. So those are the 9 prompts and categories to consider for picking out your monthly TBR. I'm gonna go grab my books and let you know what I've picked out for these categories. All right, I have my books. So, kicking off for the challenge category, we have a classic for this month. That's going to be The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, the second book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I finished the first book in March. Now that I've had a few weeks away from it, I am definitely eager to get back into Middle-earth and continue on this journey. For my book club, I'm going to be reading The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. Just a short little novella. I think the audio is about 4 hours long. I know nothing about it, but I do know I like Brandon Sanderson. I've read the Mistborn trilogy, which was a solid 4-star series for me, as well as Trust of the Emerald Sea, which was one of my all-time favorites, honestly. So I'm definitely looking forward to picking up another book by this author. For my physical TBR, I pulled Badass Habits by Jen Sincero. You might be familiar with her self-help bestseller called You Are a Badass, which I read when I was in my early 20s, and I think that's a great age to read that type of book. It was definitely good for thinking about how to be more confident in some ways, but mostly I just remember it being really engaging and entertaining. I think that she just has a fun writing style. It should be a quick, fun little read about habits. For the recommendation, I am working my way through Invincible, a graphic novel series by Robert Kirkman. This is a recommendation from my fiance. It's one of his favorite pieces of media, if not of all time, definitely of like recent years. I'm prioritizing this for this year. I'm trying to finish the entire series. It's about 25 volumes, so I'm trying to read 2 volumes per month. I didn't read any in April, so I do have to catch up a little bit. I'm hoping to read at least 3 of these in May, and I'm currently on volume 7. For my topic of interest, I picked up The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate by Peter Wohlleben. I was thinking about this book and remembered that it existed when I was reading Fellowship of the Ring. I think that this will pair really nicely with reading The Two Towers, because I think in that book we will be meeting the Ents, which are the sentient trees. I think it'll be fun to read about real world trees and forests in tandem with the magical ones. For my series in progress, I know that like technically The Lord of the Rings or Invincible would fit that category, but I did want to pick up one more backup option, which is Castle in the Air by Diana Wynne Jones. This is the second book in the Howl's Moving Castle trilogy, and I really found that book very delightful. I think this is more of an interconnected standalone situation, so I don't think we're following the same characters, but I just enjoyed the writing in Howl's Moving Castle a lot. I liked the characters, I liked the kind of found family element, and I have been meaning to continue on with the series, so this is definitely on the radar for this month. Also, I kind of feel like this looks like a spring book. For romance, we have The High Dive by Chelsea Fagan. This I have as an advanced reader copy through NetGalley. It comes out on May 27th, so I definitely want to be reading it and reviewing it before then. I did just recently read this author's debut romance, so this is her second romance novel. In the debut, I really did like her writing style and I really enjoyed the setting. I just found the main character to be a bit frustrating, so I'm hoping in this one we get a little bit more of a mature protagonist, but otherwise I'm expecting it to be a pretty solid romance selection. For my fantasy standalone option, I picked up Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This has been on my radar for a very long time, and I have been putting it off partly because I want to be in the right mood for it. I think if I'm not feeling it, I don't want to force myself to read it, because I do think this has potential to be one of my favorites if I'm in the right mood. Will that be this month? We'll find out. And similarly, for my literary horror option, one that has been on my radar for some time is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins, which maybe isn't so much a horror as just a darker toned fantasy. I'm so intrigued by this. It looks so bizarre and so interesting, but again, I only want to pick it up if I'm really feeling like I'm in the mood for it, because I think that my mood will definitely have an impact on my reading experience for these books, but they are on the radar and I am hoping to try them out this month. Those are the 9 books on my May TBR. I am really happy with the variety here. I'm really looking forward to all of these for really different reasons. I do want to call out that I most likely will not be reading 9 books. I usually read maybe 7 or 8 books a month, but these will be the books that I am pulling from throughout the month. I would love to hear what's on your radar for May, or how you're choosing what to prioritize to read right now. Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, leave me a flower or bee emoji for May. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye!